Hello, welcome to another episode of the SENDhelp podcast. And today we've got Ceri with us and Sharon, of course. And today we're going to be talking about a little bit about SARS requests and just kind of the struggle in school and some of the risks. So I don't really want to talk too much about it because I'll let Ceri explain herself. And let's see, I told you it's going to be all good tonight.
That's okay.
But yeah, I'll hand over to Ceri now. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, so my experience, I originally thought, it was quite individual to me, but seeing, everyone's experience online, it should make you feel better because you don't want anyone to go through what you've been through. It just, you actually realise that it actually wasn't you.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'd had quite a few meetings at my son's primary school and, they're always very like, oh yeah, come and speak to us about anything. And it wasn't until I got the SARS request that I actually mentally prepared because I'd had that many challenges and meetings and I knew they weren't a plan.
Just for everyone who doesn't know just to mention what a SARS request is, that's a subject access request form, isn't it? Is that what it stands for? Is that right? Yeah, so that's something that you can request, and it enables you to have every bit of paperwork that your child is attached to throughout the school. So any email chain, any bit of behaviour, anything that's on a SEND profile, anything that's kind of written about your child, you're allowed to get. But yeah, just in
Have
case
access
anyone wasn't
to.
aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to say as well, something that you've said, Nate, is you actually have to prepare yourself when you receive this because it can
Ceri's
be
story is
quite
why.
shocking. Yeah.
Even if you think, because I'm always someone who's I'm quite like aware of stuff and how people are being. And I prepared myself and I just no amount of preparing because I thought it'd just be like the truth, but their kind of version of it. But some of it was just like made up things and like my reaction to things, but not what I was reacting to.
Yeah.
So there was no like recordings of it, of like meetings till I went in for like the first meeting with the head teacher, and it like literally started from then.
Yeah.
And
We've both found that. Yeah. That they
it
don't
was
minute
quite
meetings.
outrageous because it was the start of the COVID lockdowns, and it was like, oh, mum is highly anxious, and it's like they had no kind of awareness. Like everyone was anxious, but because I'd raised some points that were valid, it was like straight away, like mum is highly anxious, and I was encouraged by certain autism organisations to let the school know about me ADHD diagnosis, and it was like mum has several mental conditions, and it was like, so it's painting like a picture. So
Yeah.
that's basically, it's almost like staff social media, like they can write what they want. They could literally write you an alien from Mars.
So you've requested the SARS forms, you've got the SARS forms back, and you've seen how they've kind of spoke about you
Yeah. Portrayed
inside
it.
like an email chain between the teachers and staff.
Yeah, but even like shocking stuff, like I'd went to pick my son up and he'd had an accident, which he told me was in the morning. And when I raised that with the teacher, I was like, look, and he was like, oh, he's done really well at maths today. And I had to like calm myself down because I felt like saying, I really don't care. And then like on the note, it was like, mum was upset that son had been praised for his maths ability. And it's like, no, mum was upset, at the state the son was in. You're trying to like, so then they paint you like you're not happy with the son being praised about his maths, and it's like.
And what was it that had happened in school? Was it like something physical happened or?
Yeah, so we'd had a toilet accident.
Okay.
So I went to pick him up and he was like, it was really like bad. And then because I didn't like go, oh yeah, you're made up about his maths, it's like, distract me. Do you know what I mean? So it's like.
It's kind of for every parent's fear, isn't it? That you've got that preconceived judgment. It's like what every parent doesn't want to hear, isn't it? That there is that teachers would and can talk about you in that and paint you into that light, and that kind of follows you, doesn't it? Into well, everywhere. It follows you into anywhere through. It kind of doesn't they discredit you before you even get
And
to a
it makes
point
you
Yes.
of
feel
any relevant
uneasy.
meeting.
Yeah, it makes you feel uneasy because we're all, having ADHD, having autism, we're already aware, as adults, we're already aware about our challenges and what difficulties we
Yeah.
face. And then when somebody else puts a spin on it and it's not done in a professional way, that's not okay. Because
Yeah.
it's like all these things start adding into the negative, dialogue that we're already having. And are we overreacting? Are we pushing too hard? Are we being, and just to see what another professional is writing about you, because if you were to be writing that about them, I think it would be a different story.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think as well, I think the worst one was probably the head teacher's quite like, he's being on the TV a lot and he's quite like, everything's like a boast. Even children, like, they wrote their own song and it was going to be performed at the Philharmonic. And it was like, he was kind of taking credit for it. It's like he like uses like the children's achievements, so he's quite like a David Brent character. And he's wrote, "Mum seeks attention from the school because she emails evenings and weekends." So to be called an attention seeker by someone like that was quite. I can laugh about it now, but when you read it and it's like, hang on a minute, I don't think so.
Yeah, but it does make you question yourself as well, though, doesn't it? It puts doubts.
Yeah,
and
but if you email in school time, they're too busy to open it. And if you email out of school time, then you're an attention seeker.
Yeah, and you're a busy parent. At the end of the day, we're not 9 to 5 people, are we? We've got children that maybe don't sleep or are up in the night or, whatever's going on. We do things when we can, when we get that
And what is wrong
space.
for seeking attention for our children when they're in crisis? Like, well, how is that seeking attention? Well, yeah, it's seeking attention. I need your attention. You're not giving it to me. Like, it's not like I've got your attention and had all these meetings and I've had all of these discussions and I'm in for the 6th time, even though we've had all these meetings and you put all these things in place. No, you haven't done any of that. Like, that must have been hard to hear, like, from C, really.
Especially when I'm getting texts off from mate going, put BBC News on. I'm like, no, because I don't see them on telly. I can't cope with it. But yeah, it was really hard. And even when I raised like the SARS request to the Senko, she tried to like gaslight me and say, "Oh, any concern will have come from a place of care. So anything he wrote would have been because he cares about the children." And I said, "You know what? I could probably get on board with that if he hadn't called me an attention seaker."
Yeah.
And she's just
Well, that's somebody's personal opinion. It's that's not okay.
Sharon, as an ex-head teacher, here we go.
Here we go.
No, what the fuck? What is going on? Like, why is there like? Are they just
I'm going to be really boring. I'm going to be really boring.
Right, no. So, right, okay, no, you're not.
What I'm going to say
in a way that's going to get you to talk. So, is it I come across this with Calvin, and it seems to be a very misogynistic male influenced world.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to be very above and beyond even the way that the world is. It's almost like they're at a different planet, and they think they can speak, they can talk, they can do what they want, and this bullying tactic that goes a long way. And I wouldn't be surprised if it goes into teachers when they do try to stand up for the Sen. And it's the reason I'm starting to see again. I've said about teachers, but if the head teacher is wrong, then no teachers ain't got hope in hell.
I'm surprised that you're saying this because no, but you're right, and it is a bit of a boring response. Not everybody is good at their job, regardless of what their job is, whether they're a teacher, whether they're, we've all worked with people that aren't necessarily good at what they do. I like to think that anybody goes into working with children does so for the right reasons. But that's not true.
Yeah, but a head teacher is different, isn't it? Because if you go into a job being a head teacher, doesn't necessarily mean you want to work with the kids. It means you want to be in charge of the school.
Well, it does, but it's also, so what I would also say is in a leadership role of any kind, or there's a power shift or a power imbalance, whether that is, well, it is real. It's not just perceived, it's real. Whether you're a head teacher, whether you're a police officer, whether you're a doctor, we are brought up to have respect, or bring our children up as much as we can, I guess, to have respect. And sometimes that power's misused. That's my observation. Because there's enough things going on in the world at the moment where we can see where professional people and people in power, whether it's a politician, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a head teacher, whether it's somebody, in the local authority, people can abuse their power, and certain people are drawn to those positions because of that, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I suppose.
It feeds their own ego. I'm not saying that's right, but that's why we should always question and challenge, because we have a right to do that. And whether it's about yourself, whether it's about your children, whether as a teacher I'm challenging someone about somebody else's child, it's about, I think, knowing what's right and not being afraid. But it's hard because you have to step out of your comfort zone, and to challenge someone, especially if you've read negative comments about
Yeah,
yourself, it puts you off kilter.
but you can't challenge them. Is my point? Is
Well,
that
you can, but it doesn't. Yeah,
not really. So you can't, because they don't get held accountable.
yeah,
So even I said this right. So even if you go for stage 1 complaint, which is school probably gonna cover themselves. Stage 2 complaint, governors, school gonna cover themselves. Lado advises the school, and the school do another report that they can then manufacture and send back to Lado. Ofsted do not come out. If you then go to the DFE, by the time they make any changes or make any fault, it's not the teacher or the school, it's the policy or it's a change in update. So these people are literally getting away with it, and I can see the arrogance from the things that's gone on with you, a couple of things, because they know even if you go to the highest person, they are not going to be named, they are not going to be fired, they are not going to be even held accountable directly. The most you will get if you go by yourself is to sue them, would be to get an apology, written apology. And that's if you put your own money into it to get directly at the school. Other than that, good luck. You're not getting them to say anything. And they can do and say what they want and get away. This is what I'm finding out.
yeah.
You can't do anything about it. If it's a small knit unit like we are down here,
yeah,
or in other places, and I've heard this with other schools, with other conversations.
Because they're all joined, aren't they?
If you get one bad reputation, or one, if you, again, as your staff go today, say you're attention seeking in one school, don't think that stays there. That could then be transferred to every other school that you're trying to get into. So they'll see you as a problem parent, but way beyond just the school that's saying that you are.
I think as well, like my experience, so my complaint was 54 pages, because I had years of like incompetence to raise. So 54 pages, and I took it ended up going to the diocese, and my friends were going, you need to leave. And I was like, I'll literally go to the top till there's nowhere else to go. So the only result I had was they promised that training will be given on like what the rights of parents. But this is from the person who wrote it. And I got a forced apology email. But even though I knew he wouldn't have meant it, the embarrassment he would have faced.
Yeah.
So it's then toxic, because you just want, it's like nitpicking, isn't it? But you just need that to move on, I think. And it's not till you go, I'd like parents to know as well. It's common to think, oh, all schools are the same, so I'll just stay like better the devil, sometimes. But
yeah, that's true.
Sometimes when you go to another school, you think, because the school I ended up going to, they were confused when I told them about the email situation, and they said, it doesn't matter what time. They said, we'll access the email when we're online, so you can send one at 3 o'clock in the morning if you want. Like, why does that matter? Why is that made as a judgment? And I was in a state when I went to that school, I was scared to speak to any teacher, and they were coming up to me on the yard and saying, are you okay? And even when we left last July, my son's teaching assistant, she went, oh, remember the state of you when you come here? I was like, I know, it was like coming out of an abusive relationship. I was thinking anything I say will be twisted and the right stuff about me. It was really like awful to go through, and it really knocks your confidence. And I had the total opposite experience at that school. They were amazing, and they were trying to, because I'm self-employed, they were trying to, they invite me to, the coffee mornings to promote my business, and they were just, it was just, but I cried more at that school because I wasn't used to, someone being nice. I was like,
that's sad.
And it's a really good point, because it affects your mental health and well-being. And I think, we touch on this time and time again. This is about our children, and everybody has got a child in their life somewhere, whether it's a nephew, a niece, a grandchild, whoever, a friend. And why everybody, I would like to think, would fight for their child. If they're being treated unfairly, if they're being discriminated against, you would fight. So I really struggle when schools or local authorities or agencies, when their walls go up and they all, double down, because that's not in the child's best interest. And like you're saying, you then were really fortunate, have gone to a different school and they're completely different, completely open.
I think I was debating whether to talk about it, but I'm going to say it. So I've got the similar incident that's happened to me about, it started on the SARS, but what I talk about the influence of when you get labelled a certain type of parent that goes with you in other schools. So obviously with my son, I took him out, and it was lots of safeguarding reasons, and I was looking at other schools, and we went to visit a school that said, yeah, come in. We went all around the school. It was great. The woman that showed us around, absolutely amazing. No fault in her. We went to the head teacher right at the end. And because the Senko door was closed, and that was the luckiest thing that happened, because if that Senko door was open, I was going to go straight to the Senko. I probably would have gone, this is great, and put Calvin in that school, because I wouldn't have spoken to the head teacher. I went into the head teacher's office, right? This guy, let's call him Mr. Lighthouse. He I was standing there, yeah. He looked like Colonel Sanders for a start. I went in there, and it was like I've never been felt so uncomfortable or like appeased so much in my life. He had the biggest office I've seen in my life. He's sitting at a table. There is chairs in front of him. There are sofas there. He doesn't say sit down. Doesn't say sit down. Don't shake my hand. Doesn't even stand up to say anything. He goes, oh yeah. So what is it? Why are you here then? Why did you leave the other school? Right? I go, because there was racism. Da 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 da. I get 2 words into my sentence. This guy turns around and says to me, I'll stop you right there. I'm really close mates with the head teacher of the current school that you're talking about, and I doubt that if any of this happens.
Oh,
He then turned around to my son and went, so why don't you like the head teacher? And my son, bearing in mind, it's like, what? That's a deep question to say to him, right? And he's gone, because, and it just started, because bearing in mind, there's been allegations against a certain head teacher and stuff like that. But without going into detail, that's something that should not have been asked at all directly to him, right? And so he's cut me off with the racism. He's basically said that didn't happen in front of me and in front of Calvin and this other teacher. He's then gone, the next thing he's done is he said to Calvin, so why didn't you like this teacher? Calvin had then gone to say the story about the time that the teacher shouted at him for no reason. He then turns around to Calvin and said, well, I don't think he was meant to be down there, though, was you? So Calvin said, yeah, I was. And then he goes, well, that doesn't sound right. I bet something else happened in that story, isn't it? So he just called my kid a liar after saying the racism didn't happen, and then proceeded afterwards to talk about how in his school, that no matter what the behaviour, it still gets dealt with, or some crazy thing like that. It's in 5 minutes, this guy has said this to me. Like, how is that even fair? So like, now I'm thinking, I'm coming out there. I went mad. I'm not gonna lie. I can't go to another school. Calvin's got this reputation. I've made it worse for him by saying the right thing on social media. Now I'm getting head teachers unanimously, openly saying to me, nah.
It didn't happen.
Without even reading the case, about nothing, on the word of another one, or just protection from that. I'm really close mates. Basically, what kind of, it was like the only way I could explain it is like some intimidation mafia tactics. Like, it's almost like, we know who you are. Don't even think you'll get away with anything in here. How can you call a child a liar to his face without even knowing the child? How can you question a child's story when he's explaining to you what a question that you've asked? Like, it's
just disgusting. But again, that's a power imbalance, and that is also rude. Do you know what I mean? It's rude. Like you're saying, even just not to invite you and make you feel comfortable and ask you to take a seat. It's just rude.
I knew was up straight away. Yeah,
it's
Mr. Fucking Lighthouse.
Because what that's doing is that's giving you, that's being an intimidating.
It was in front of my son.
Yeah.
Which is the one, which is like, mad. If this happened to me, and understand, yeah, because of the pressure on the social media, you have done this in front of him. So what you have done is exactly the same as the other that school have done. Over a year and a half, you have managed to do that in 5 minutes. Congratulations, Mr. Whitehouse.
It's awful.
Brilliant.
It's awful. And I'm really sorry that Calvin is having to see adults at their worst. But the adults again, that are there to support him.
Silver lining, and this ties into what we were just talking about with Ceri, this might have actually prompted a really good place for Calvin to go. So without giving out too much, I think this has actually resulted in a very beneficial thing. And I think, again,
outcome.
it's
Yeah.
it's nice to know that there is people out there that when you do think the world's like that and you've got nowhere to go, and I was thinking there is no way I'm going to take him out, I'm going to homeschool him, that there's still people out there that are willing and nice and are really trying in that job. And as you're saying, Ceri, isn't it, like the new place that you're at, like, is it like going to change your life, really, isn't it?
It's really hard though as well, because I mean, at the time they were writing those notes about me, I was actually teaching holistic therapy courses for parents to help the kids' anxiety through their children's centre, but technically paid for by them. So when they were writing that, oh, mum's highly anxious, we'll have to keep an eye on it, they were paying me to teach courses. And I was just thinking, how is this even possible? Like,
Yeah.
and you know, if they had genuine concerns, they would have had to a co-parent with the kid's dad, so they would have had to contact him. So it was just writing it to, you know, basically try and make me look a certain way for other staff. But I know other parents as well had been approached by the school for things they wrote on Facebook. So they must have had people who'd seen it and they've been told to like change the narrative. So they don't like it, but
like
they can have a little secret, secret social media that you don't know about.
Yeah.
And do with article.
And how intimidating for females to go through that, because I just thought that me going as a guy, I sort of punched him in the face, and I swear if I ever see him outside, right? But yeah, obviously not. Yeah, but
We'll stop there.
what I'm trying to say is I have that response of like I can defend myself in this situation, but when it's almost like, but I still felt threatened, I still felt vulnerable, I still felt really small.
Excuse me, I hope you're not saying that we can't defend ourselves.
No, but it's
me,
intimidating. What?
Yes.
So I'm saying that all the
I'm
misogynistic
just
things
checking.
you agree with. I'm saying
I'm just checking.
you threw my whole speech out.
It's such a mad to me. It's such a mad to me as well.
It's intimidating. Yeah.
All I did was asked me. My son came home and said teacher had asked him questions about parents' evening. So he'd said to the class, "What would you like us to talk to your parents about, and what wouldn't you? What don't you want us to tell your parents?" And I just thought it was like really strange, like, because I thought, imagine if he said, "Don't tell me mum about like failing a test or something." Would the teacher break his trust and tell me, or not tell me something? So either way, I just think it was a very like a weird thing. So I just asked the question. He passed the phone to someone else because he couldn't speak to me, and I was like, I've only asked a question, and the person that came on was like, oh, you know, we're concerned. We think that your mental health has suffered since your husband left.
Oh my
goodness. I was like, for a start, I said, he didn't leave me and that's nothing to do with you. I said, but secondly, are you in the 1950s?
Yeah.
I said, you might need a man to survive, but it doesn't mean. And she said, well, you must be struggling because you're on your own.
Oh
and I
my
was just
gosh.
Do you know what I mean? And I was just
goodness.
thinking, if this was on email, I would love it.
Absolutely.
But you think I should record
how
everyone.
rude is that? It's assumptions.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's again, I think our lives are laid bare a bit. I don't know why they think they have the right to, you know, when you're dealing with something and you're doing it in in the best way that you can, why are you then being spoken about as if somehow it's our fault as a parent, somehow it's something that's going on with us that is causing, you know, the challenges that our children have. And it's disgusting. We've had one of our members, actually, there's been a few that I've recently spoken to, and it's an invasion of their privacy. You know, things are getting written and things are getting sent out.
They know too much.
Are really personal.
They even visit, like, let's not lie, like, even the stuff when they go visit your home, you're already set up to fail sometimes from that. So before you even reach the school, they go round, and I know this happens. They say it's like to keep the kids in that, but they're gossiping. Who's got the house? Who's got a rich house? Who's got the kids? What the state of them is? Oh my God! You're like, they get access to every bit of our information, any social services information, anything. They get access to all of it. They're just power hungry. They know everything and don't have to give us anything back. That's just what's happened. But they do.
And
they have to give us a
it's not okay. It's not okay because quite often, I think, as SEND parents, we want to be transparent and we want the best outcomes for our kids. So we might give them more information than what somebody who's got a neurotypical child, because we're like, we had a bit of a dodgy weekend, or his dad was late picking him up. It can be something as simple as that. It doesn't have to be an accusation or something terrible, that might have made him, but they then put their own twist on it and their own assumptions and their own, and it's not okay. So I think by us being transparent, sometimes it's almost like we're setting ourselves up, and it's like, it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah, because it's quite strange, because the kids go to the dads every weekend, so they have that routine, so they probably have like more balanced home life than, some kids that aren't from what they deem a broken home. So, like you say, it's that assumption, and
Absolutely.
you're fighting then to convince people, and it's like, haven't you got enough to do? You know what I mean?
I would say out of the 10 teachers that probably teach that school, 6 of them are cheating, so they can't talk about families. Let's
I'm
not
not
go
laughing.
there.
Why am I laughing? That's awful. Actually,
Let's just know what teachers
don't
get
even
up to.
start me on that.
They're just crazy. Like, it's just mad. And that's what I'm saying. So,
Cheating. Oh my gosh, yeah.
As a female, that must be so much harder. Again, if you are on your own, obviously they shouldn't be commenting it, and you haven't got even someone to reflect that off. It must be intimidating. As I said, it intimidated me, so I can only imagine how much they could actually go further to intimidate a single parent, a single mum. Like,
yeah.
Well, they even brought him in for a meeting, so they didn't tell me. He'd contacted them and said, "Oh, we're struggling to communicate with me," and wanted them to come in for a meeting. So I went in the meeting, and they basically seen that we were like, co-parents. We're not. Like, they assumed that he'd be on their side, and he never got asked to go to another meeting because they saw he was there to support me.
Yeah. Oh,
basically.
good.
How awful for them.
But again, that is awful, because what if you didn't get on? So what? Why are they
That could have
allowed to
caused
make
so
that
much more
judgment?
stress outside of the house.
Yeah.
We've had it they said really inappropriate things, haven't we? They said we've had some people, the power's gone to their head and they've made some mad comments, like even where like children should be living and stuff like that. They do cross the line.
Yes,
it's like,
we did. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know why. The thing is, they got away for too long. It needs to change. End of story. It needs to change, doesn't it? I think I can see why, as I said, I explained why they get away with it, because there's nowhere to get held accountable and how they can live in a perfect bubble. It is nothing like being a registered manager, by the way, which is really, really worrying, because I always had the illusion, like I'm probably sure that most people who work in adult care have, that something like Ofsted was so much more vigorous and in depth than CQC. And you'd think care homes and stuff like that would be able to be held less accountable, get away with the stuff that schools are doing, when in fact, it's the complete opposite. There is no chance in hell you would get away with even speaking about that internally, because your emails are monitored. You protect yourself at the first get-go from these things from the get-go. You are professional throughout. You remain professional. You don't let it spill. The fact that these schools feel like it's okay to talk about parents like this, put their judgment in it, it's gone way above their station. Even the comments I've had seen when they're putting opinions about kids, they're saying about this, they're going above it. They've not been challenged enough.
But it doesn't help. I don't know, like, if I've been watching TV the last few days, the power that politicians seem to think they can put on teachers, calling them the professionals. And I'm not, I'm a trained teacher. We know lots of people that are trained professionals, but it doesn't mean, if all of a sudden I was working with a deaf person, or I was working with a visually impaired person, I wouldn't be the professional in that respect. And when it comes to like special educational needs and disabilities, autism or ADHD, and both, I would say, why are the teachers being called the professionals when they have qualified to teach neurotypical children? They haven't done a special, you might do an hour, you might do a module, I've said this about nurses, I've said this about, all the different professions. How is that a professional in that area, in that field? And politicians, and I'm not really a political person, but I just hear them saying it over and over again. We will hand it to the professionals, the teachers. And do you know what? And teachers, when they qualify, they're young. They're like early 20s. How they've limited life experience, they just want to teach. They want to do something good. They want to educate. They want to, empower young people, I hope. So have this, we'll put all of this emphasis on the professionals actually isn't fair to them either, because they're not, they're teachers. So, yeah.
I think every teacher's different as well.
Yeah.
And I think from my experience and when I was at school, if I liked a teacher, my behaviour was different to if I didn't like a teacher. So, they'd have a different opinion of you. So, if all
Personal
teachers have
opinions,
got,
isn't it?
if teachers have got different opinions, then how are they, meant to, like, if they're going to start diagnosing and,
Oh,
be in
absolutely.
charge of that?
And getting kids that have got ADHD to practice sitting still. I mean,
Yeah,
what
and
is
it is
that? What's that
even
about?
when you do work in a school, because I've worked in schools before, it is because of the holidays, right? Is a massive thing of why as well people who work in schools stick together, because they go on holiday together, they go out together, because no one else gets time off like that. So like everyone
Yeah.
else has to structure holidays around stuff, and then you make plans. They get like 6 weeks off in the summer. What are they going to do 6 weeks? All their mates are working still. Do you know what I mean? So they bond closer and closer, and it just becomes more of a tight knit barrier to even get to any of them, really, isn't it? You get the isolated teachers that come out and stand out massively, but as a group, I don't think they're unanimously even thinking about trying to change the way that they're trying to teach.
Well, the school I'm talking about, most of them are like related in some way or married.
Yeah.
So, you're literally
It's
insulting
like a
someone.
club.
Relative.
But
It's
it's
like
got
a
to tell you
weird
about
club.
teachers.
Yeah. But then I found when I went to the other school that kind of blew my mind, because all the teachers were lovely and I didn't have one bad experience. And I was like, so they're not, they're not all bad.
Yeah.
And then when we started seniors this September, we were like almost back to square one. And it's really hard when they've got an EHCP. So you think, right, we're all sorted now.
Yeah.
Then, schools will be like, most of the teachers were following the adjustments, but then some weren't. And then the Senko's, opinion is, oh, well, I can't police every teacher. And it's like, you're told that this is a legal document, so it'll be followed. And then when you raise that it's not being followed, they're like, oh, well, we can't police every teacher.
You're meant
And
to.
it's
That's your
like,
job.
well,
Yeah, I
like,
know.
what's going on? Like,
You
he's
could get
getting
them all
called.
you could get them all unanimously to lose an incident sheet or something, though, can't you? So we're talking about you can't get them to imply the same thing. If you needed them to, every teacher's thinking the same hymn. Like,
But it's not even like him doing his work. It was stuff like him rocking in his chair. A teacher was calling them distracting and telling him off. It was only this one teacher. So I said, that says to me,
Yeah.
the teacher's got a
It's
problem.
his problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that was quite hard. And then all the adjustments, even like, the adjustments that had been agreed before school started, the form teacher's not doing. And if anyone should know about the adjustments, it should be his main teacher. And it was just to watch a kid that's always happy and making everyone laugh,
Oh.
to having panic attacks on the bus and not being able to get him there. And it's like, I can't see my child like that. And it was literally like, if you lose a pen, detention. If you do this, detention, detention, detention. And I just thought to myself, if you started a job and they were like, this'll happen, that'll happen every single day, you'd be like, I really don't want to work here. So why is it any different for kids going to school? Like, they need to feel safe, and if they've got rigid rules, how does that fit in with SEN? If you're giving them adjustments for things, but then if they lose the things, they get detention. Well, that's even listed on his EHCP that he loses things.
Do you know what,
So you're
Ceri?
giving them...
Everything you're saying, I still do now. I can't, I can have some strategies to help myself, but because I've got ADHD, then I ignore them, or I move on, or I'm forgotten that, or I'm, because my impulsivity or my exuberance, whatever you want to call it, just gets the better of me. But it's disgraceful what it does to people's mental health. This is a child. This is your son. Why is he being penalised for something he can't help?
Yeah, so what school will do if you share that opinion, they'll say, well, they need to learn.
No.
And they basically make out you don't want them to learn the skills, you want them to, just wrap them in cotton wool, and you're not giving them a chance to be independent. And like I said to them, they need to learn these skills, but it's not sink or swim. that's not going to work. They have to learn it in the right way. It's not that you don't want them to learn it. It's just that they need to learn it in the right way, and you know that.
But it's not even like skills that they're punishing for. As you said, it's their own sitting still, not rocking on the chair, having a blazer that you can't find, having, wrong thing. What the hell does that matter? And it really annoys me because it's just power tripping for no reason. And why are you doing it over children? Why is no one looking at this thinking why there's loads of people wanting to have this much enforcement over children for no
because it's
reason?
misunderstood.
There is no outcome.
Because it's misunderstood. It's seen as seen as bad behaviour, poor behaviour.
Yeah, but the thing is, the punishment is meant to fix that. So if you're repeating a punishment, it's clearly not working. So if you're having to punish someone repeatedly every week for a detention, your way of dealing with what's going on doesn't work. It's not effective. So why is it still happening? That's what I'm saying. It doesn't work. Apart from I just said so. It's just I said so, and that's what we've got to do. And it's not good enough just to sit there and say that, it's for the school rules. Every single one of them's an individual.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll get marks with detentions they hand out. Like, be human.
The detention's for something that you've done as well. So his detention was for me not signing his planner, which I'd not written in it. So there was literally no point in me signing it. So I was like, right, you're not going back to school.
So he got a detention for something you did?
The me not signing his planner, and at the time, I couldn't actually walk. I've got endometriosis, and that can affect. If I get stressed, then I'm in agony.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I do that as a business. I'm a massage therapist, and help people deal. And I always saying stress affects your body, and I knew all the stress I was going through. I was ending up not being able to walk, and then my son's getting detention for me not signing his planner, and I was like, we've both got ADHD. I am not going to remember to do this every week.
No.
So I'm telling you that right now. So then they were like, oh yeah, we'll get you some, adjustments over that. And when I was thinking about it, I was thinking, you shouldn't have to have special needs to not to get that, because that shouldn't be a punishment. You don't even get a warning. It's like if it's not signed, you get detention. And it's like, you can't have these rigid rules and have, kids with the EHCPs. How is that even possible?
And penalising them.
It's like I went to school with nuns. A nun run my school, and there is nowhere near as strict as anything that anyone's going through right now. And I thought it was, at the time, I was thinking, my God, this is a strict school. And in the area, it was one of the strictest schools.
Yeah, it was.
But still, nowhere near, I would say, I was a dick, yes. And every one of my suspensions, most of the time, I know I did get caught up and just been the wrong crowd, but I suppose that makes up to the time I didn't get caught. So I didn't get this constant barrage of detention, for forgetting pencil cases, for not having the pens, for not having the right uniform. But you might have got you need to wear a uniform or something like that, or might have got bad report cards. That was it.
They just hand them out now.
And the fact that how dangerous that is, so you're getting someone from ADHD that struggles to sit still and concentrate. They can't do it for the class, and you're saying that you're going to bring them back to practice that afterwards. So you're extending their day, putting them through more trauma that they clearly can't cope with. How is this allowed?
And they miss their breaks. So children that need movement breaks, that have it on their EHCPs that they need, whether it's a sensory circuit, whatever you want to call it, sensory diet, movement breaks. It's as simple as that. Do you know what I mean? It's just being able to get up and move. They're not allowed to go out on their playtime, or they're stopped from doing sports, we hear as well. And it's like, are you actually joking me? So I think even
reward, like we've said about the consequences, even rewards is kind of causing damage. So my son was given an adjustment of, extra leeway with homework deadlines, and the teacher had decided to set a rewards that if everyone got the homework done for the next week, then they wouldn't have any homework over the half term. So she knew, or she should know, that he had that adjustment, and then he was the only one who hadn't done his homework. So then the kids had to do homework, even though we thought they had that boxed off. So then all the kids were having a go at him. And when I raised that, they were saying the teacher dealt with the kids, and I said, hang on, no, it's not the kids' fault.
No.
They were understandably upset because they thought they were, do your homework and you won't have any. And she's set that up, so she needs to take responsibility as the teacher.
There must be a word for that, because that sounds deliberate. That sounds like deliberately highlighting somebody's needs and then blaming them for it. And that sounds absolutely disgusting.
See, if they come and said, oh, she wasn't aware of that adjustment, or she'd forgot, and, there was no intent or anything, and apologised, then, you'd be a bit more like, but it's when they come back and they blame the kids, and it's like,
and then those children got detention.
Yeah. They've done that to, piss everyone else off, so they'll be annoyed with you. So they can't go, oh, I don't know why they were annoyed. It's just ridiculous. So, even awards are hard. My other son, he's really like, he always gets positive behaviour points, and he tries really hard, and if his attendance was good, then he'd get all these rewards. And the reason his attendance isn't good is because he's had to have toenail surgeries. So he misses out on all the rewards that he would get just because he's had to be off for operations.
I can't believe they reward kids for not being ill.
It's madness, isn't it?
And that's what
it's not even like he's a school refuser.
Yeah, that's what I mean. For 97 or above attendance, but you've got people, as young kids especially, they don't have their attendance or have had to have days off. They're never getting that, and it's another thing they're not getting where the rest of the class is, just for not being sick or not having any problems in the morning. So I've had an idea. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up like a boxing company, and we're going to do it for charity, and we're going to match parents with teachers, and whoever wins the purse.
Nathan, that's awful.
No, we can. It's fair, and we'll put them in there because they can't get away with this all the time, and we match it, and then we can put like a card on, and I'll go against executive heads, Mr. Lighthouse, and then the winners, whoever wins gets to donate the school, because the school could win the money back.
Well, it's funny you should say that.
Donate the money back to the school.
My son's school had a event, and it was soak the teacher.
Oh my gosh!
And you'd have to pay 50p for a throw at a sponge at a teacher. I said, come parents attend. I'll give them a quiz. I'll give you
I think it'd be good. Why wouldn't people watch that?
No, but just something else I want to say as well. Yeah, something else I want to say as well. Like what you just said, Ceri, we all make mistakes. The more people I speak to, the more I realise that early on in my career, we make mistakes, and that's how you learn. And it is okay to make a mistake. It's okay to get it wrong.
It's the dismissive. It's being dismissed.
Absolutely. And it's when, what we're talking about now, when their barriers go up and, racism is so clear. How can you say, no, that didn't happen? Well, you've got it in writing now. It says it happened. In your own writing, in your logs, in your, so, and it's okay to say, I wasn't aware of that, or we got that wrong as a school. But what you're saying, Ceri, if this teacher, you'd like to think that they got this wrong, that they didn't deliberately set up your son to be bullied and to be mocked and to feel bad about himself. You'd like to think that when someone explained it, they went, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. But why don't they? Because again, I don't know what it is. It's a thing. There's a word, and I don't know the word. It's a power thing. It's thinking that you're better than other people. And I don't know if that's a personality trait, but it's not okay, because it is all right to make mistakes. It's horrible.
It's like even when they apologise and they say, I'm sorry, you're upset. And it's like, that's not an apology. That what you're doing is you're saying, sorry, you're a crank.
Yeah.
So,
sorry, you're making it wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. But it is okay to get it wrong.
The Senko put that in an email. She put, sorry, you've perceived the comments to be unsupportive.
No.
So the comment where him getting called distracting by a teacher for rocking, and he got called inappropriate for laughing, it was already on his adjustment. He'd be given a timeout because he's got a problem with nervous laughter.
Yeah.
So if it goes quiet, he laughs. We'll just be walking down the street and he'll just start laughing.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. So instead of him being given a timeout, his form teacher made him stand up and explain why he was laughing. But there's no answer because he wasn't laughing for anything. He was
That
just
is so
just
old
laughing.
school. That is so
And then
That's what I
called them
mean.
inappropriate.
1960s, 70s, whatever. Why haven't we
Called them
moved on?
inappropriate. Yeah, so he's being called inappropriate and distracting for his disability. And then they're saying, sorry, you perceive that as being unsupportive.
Well, that's because it was.
I don't know. How can it not be? How can it be supportive?
Yeah. And I think, again, I'm just going to go back to it. We all get it wrong. My son laughs. And there can be, and especially if it's a really serious, if I'm trying to have a really serious, I'm pulling him up on something that's kind of, he'll laugh. And it does irritate me. Of course it does. Because human nature, when you're talking about something serious, you want the other person to respond appropriately. But he can't. So I have to really have a word with myself because he doesn't find it funny. He's just nervous and anxious. And that's how, I've got friends years and years and years ago, and it was a funeral of a very close family member, and they got the giggles. It's not because they thought it was funny. The person had their brother had passed away. It's because we react. We're human beings, but it's just it's when somebody doesn't acknowledge
Also,
that
and
they've made
also
a
you've got like,
mistake, or
especially with boys, I think this gets missed a lot. That if you've got a social circle with boys, a lot of that's on reputation and stuff. So if a teacher's shouting at you, you can't just then cry. You might want to, but you're never going to do that. So you're never going to give the negative reaction of what you're feeling inside. You're going to protect that, and normally you're going to cover that with fighting back or either just like, do you know what I mean? So that you have to understand the social pressure of getting called out as well.
Yeah.
You know it's horrible. You want to go think you can't emotionally even respond correctly because then that will give you more damage later on. So if you just go to piss, I'm so sorry and I won't do any of that again. Oh, I'm so sorry, or get really upset, your mates are going to mock you. So you can't calling it out anyway. There's a spotlight on you from the beginning. It shouldn't be cool. Why can't they have a word with kids at the end of class? What happened to that?
Well, why are they humiliating? Exactly. Well, probably because they haven't got the time. Yeah, but probably because they haven't got the time. Because I think it's had teachers back sometimes.
2 seconds.
I know, but if you've got, it is hard. And I was just going to say as well, having ADHD, if somebody does that, your back goes up, and you want to stand your ground, and you just feel. Do you know what I mean? You fight, flight, and usually it's fight, isn't it?
I think if teachers knew as well that it's to fight behaviour when it comes to ADHD, you take away the attention, they will be winning. But they don't. They highlight and punish the attention. So even when if they are trying to get the response of getting kicked out, they're getting it very easily. So you're giving them everything they want. It's a dopamine rush. It's something that's and it's also a boundary to keep reaffirming that I'm a piece of crap and I'm going to keep getting in trouble. So every day I go in, I'm going to do something. Yep, they're going to get in trouble. Yep, that's it again. Yep, that's me. I've just deserved this. And then before you get it, 5 years of that, you come out of that thinking, yeah, you deserve to be punished every day and you deserve people to be negative. You kind of cause that on. It's just. It's not okay. Like
it's horrible growing into adults.
Hello.
Oh, God, the screen's faded.
She's come out. Oh, she's connected back again. Well, at least that was at like 46 minutes and not like the first 5 minutes.
There we go.
Is she back? Let's see movement. I can't hear.
Is it? Yeah, it's just horrible. I hate anything where I think the long-term effect that schools, negative experiences in education are having on our children's mental health moving forward. I mean, did you pull your son out of school, did you say, Ceri?
Yeah, so the senior school,
I
pulled him out. It was only a few weeks ago because it was actually a EHCP emergency review I requested. And so there was a member of the EHCP team, and I said my side of it, the Senko said his, and as soon as the Senko said his, the EHCP team member said, so it's not that you can't support, it's just you're not willing to. And I was
like, to the school?
Yeah, because she was saying, oh, I've put all the adjustments on his passport, but I can't
just not doing them. I don't know what I'm laughing. It's not funny. I'm sorry.
It's just, it is shocking, and it's quite upsetting because he was in they have an academy where kids, if they score high enough, they go to an academy after school and they can get all these rewards and stuff, and he qualified for that and was in that. So for me taking him out, because I was thinking he's got real opportunities there, but when he's having panic attacks on the bus, those opportunities aren't going to be worth it. And I'm actually planning on getting him in a school that specialises in tech. They take from year 9.
Oh,
So I'm thinking if I can just manage with him till then, and then he'll be in a school that he's going to thrive in.
yeah.
They are very good at Sen as well, so I'm
Yeah,
hoping.
and I think the
That'd be
thing is,
amazing.
just to comment on, is this isn't done lightly. Pulling your child out of school is not something as a parent, any parent just wakes up one day and thinks, "Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to," you know, we have to leave our jobs. It affects our mental health because seeing your child struggling, like you're saying, seeing your son having panic attacks or being aware that your son is being treated in a way that is racist, or it's a lot, and we don't do this lightly. It costs us money, it costs our physical and mental health to deteriorate. We question ourselves whether we're getting it right, because quite often you don't know who to turn to, because as Nate said, sometimes you can't even hold people accountable. And like you were saying, when you saw what they'd written about you, it's almost like you just have to accept it and carry on, but you always do what's right for your child at the end of it, but it's
I mean, the
hard.
bad thing is, the school where they wrote stuff about me, that was the first primary school. So this is a different school.
Yeah,
But it's still, the stress that I was having to send emails and, report things and, keep them off school because no one gets back to you, and doing all that is more stressful than actually having them
absolutely.
off and
Yeah.
having to school.
Oh,
You know,
yeah. It makes you miserable as well. I'm holding in there and I'm trying to find a light about it by making humor with it, as I said. But it is disheartening and it makes you just like a miserable, moody. But because all you're seeing every day, you're fighting and it's a one-sided battle and you're just feeling deflated. It gets you miserable. You see the world different. You feel disheartened. You can't,
Oh, I
everything's
hate
not as
that.
happy as it used to
Exactly.
be because you
Yeah.
see such a
yeah,
dark world and you see such what's happening to your child. It's like one of the worst experiences of your life you're going through. And it's almost like no one really kind of fully believes or understands. And it's almost like no matter, even if you got 1,000 parents to speak to, every situation is completely different. They treat it the same, but everyone's unique and every kid's needs different needs. And this is what they're not seeing, that it can't just be a EHCP that fits in there. It might be daily, weekly, monthly, you might be adding and taking away support. You don't know. You should be, they're doing it all wrong. Like they need to
Yeah.
revise all of it.
Yeah.
And I think as much as we do say about teachers, it does come down to them teachers that, and schools. And I do think primary schools have a lot easier way of doing this and managing it, about having the right ethos and the right culture and the right awareness. And they are breaking through. And you've got forest schools and you've got all of the other like proactive parents that are going out and kind of putting to light all of these situations that are going on. And the more people that are speaking about it, hopefully you think that it would just be what could become in.
Yeah.
So, because when it is done right, I think everyone would agree it's life changing and it's life changing at home as well. So, like the kids could go in that weren't even very speaking a lot and come back out communicating with words. We've heard a really good success story about someone that's got a child into like a specialist school and he's got like a new box, like a voice box. And it's almost like he's got his voice now.
Oh,
Like
it's
it's
amazing. It's
crazy when it's
amazing.
done it right. It is done so well, and you cannot fault these people are life-changing people, and you own
no,
the world. But at the moment, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like there's enough of them, and it doesn't seem like it's fair, and it doesn't feel like there is enough accessible to even have the question with the teachers openly without us getting targeted as being problematic. Or I don't think they're even ready for it, and it's
No.
annoying.
I think with the EHCPs, if you get a no to assess, which I got for me youngest, and you fight for it, they actually say to you in that mediation, oh, well, you can get, that can be met through SEN support, so you don't need an EHCP. You can't even get the support when you've got one.
No,
So that is just
exactly.
a
And
blatant lie.
yeah,
That's what
and the thing
should be
is,
happening.
yeah, and the thing is as well, like you said, Nate, and I think your son had a bad experience in a primary school, but quite often primary schools are, because they're not moving around from class to class and around buildings and managing
Yeah.
transitions and managing, taking your equipment from one place to the next and remembering where you put your blazer and whatever. It's a lot smaller. And I think a lot of children really do struggle generally when they go to secondary school, let alone if you've got ADHD, autism, or another additional need, dyslexia, where organisation and things like that are really tough. They're just sort of thrown in, aren't they? Really, secondary school gets a bit. You can get lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be. And instead, I think to fight it, the corner of it, they say it's you need to make it fair for everybody. I think ultimately everyone will like the benefits that you get or should get from having a neurodiversity, as in movement breaks. Why can't your whole class just every 5 minutes have a little movement break,
Yeah,
a little run around? Why can't you have 5 minutes of intense work and then 2 minutes of talking? Why can't you have a little run around session? What kid's not going to say no to that? None. So I don't understand what they're fighting against in the sense of this structure does not work, and it's not working for kids. Like to explore and have access to social media, which is often not good, but also like YouTube, which means that they can learn skills and interests quicker than having to go to college. So they could like learn something about building, get really niche interest very quickly, and they're not allowed to utilize that, even neurodiversity or not, in a school, and they have to hold that in, and that be like a project or a hobby. So many years just to do English, maths, handwriting. It's ridiculous. The world is not set up like that no more.
I know. Needs to change. It does.
Ultimately. But yeah, I
it
think
does.
I think that was a good, really great episode. To be fair, I think.
Thank you, Ceri, for sharing. Yeah,
it's good.
No, it's good.
I will say again though. I will, Mr. Lighthouse. I will Terry boxing match whenever. I think we should do donations.
I think you need to be careful, Mr. Howard.
I think they could do it. I'm willing. I'm waiting. I'll make it all legit.
You're scaring me. You're giving me the UBGBs.
But if not, I've got some skits coming. It's fine.
I think they're going to be better because comedy, people know when you're referring to them, or they're not stupid, and if they are, other people will point it out.
Well, yeah, but they also don't like getting punched in the face, I'm sure. But
you have the little spark.
Yeah, no, but it's for the kids, for benefiting, isn't it? It's healthy. But anyway, yeah, no, that was a lovely episode, and hopefully it doesn't get me in any more trouble. But no, that's right. I did some bits out. But no, I think it's really good having you on, and I think it's something that I would have pushed blindly if I didn't speak to you when I did about the SARS request and about just getting. I was going to go on and tell everyone to get SARS request stuff like that, but I think talking to you really helped me understand that might not be the right thing to do, and sometimes you might just be better just cutting your losses and moving on, because the fight, as I said, it's really exhausting.
I think it's timing as well, because if you're going through a lot where you're already overloaded, then it mightn't be a good idea if you've got challenges with the school. But if you're in the right frame of mind, then it really is a good thing to do. And also making sure you've got a support network around, just so people will notice if you're suffering mentally.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that is a really good point. I've got really good
friends, and whatever I'm going through, I don't really go quiet.
Yeah.
But then I did, so they were quite worried, because it's she doesn't go quiet. And that's when they were saying you need to just let it go. And I was like, I can't till the end. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was quite hard. But obviously going to a different school, a lot of people think, oh, all schools are the same and I don't want to uproot my child and just do it, because you might get in a school that is normal and doesn't make you feel awful. The email thing as well, one meeting I actually went in and they had all my emails printed off, and they basically said, this isn't good for the environment.
What, because they printed them?
They've got to print them off. So they basically said I was killing trees by sending emails. And I was thinking, is this real?
Hitting you under the phone, no, just hitting you with everything, kill it. And now you're killing our trees.
Oh my gosh.
Mum hates trees.
Right. What do they want the kids to work on then? They're still obsessed about kids having paper in school. Why? It's all digital.
Oh gosh.
But no one's asked them to print them off. They've decided.
Yeah, they just did it. That's crazy.
Oh, ridiculous.
But no, it was brilliant speaking to you, and
thank you.
Yeah, we'll keep working. We'll keep in touch and keep working together. I said, I'm sure Sharon's going to be interested in the holistic.
Definitely.
Yeah, and the makeup actually. I think you're a double whammy.
Yeah, actually.
And did you say massage as well?
Yeah, so I do holistic therapy business, and I'm a makeup artist and face painter.
Did you want to say the name of your company and stuff? Yeah, did you want to say the name of your company and stuff so I can shout it out? Yeah.
I'll check that link out that you sent me as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so sorry, did you want to say something about your company yet so I can click it and put that out?
Oh yeah, so me holistic therapy, obviously it's for everyone, but I work a lot with families. So most of me specialised treatments are for kids with SEN. So I do one called functional reflex therapy, which is like a gentle reflexology. So that was developed by a teacher and reflexologist, and she did it a lot in special schools, and she even takes it to, I think, Gambia. She has a project, so she does it in the schools over there. So it's basically helps kids kind of rebalance, like between the concentration and, you know, the mood is a lot better. It's a short treatment, so normally reflexology would be a lot longer, but it's short, and because it uses like the rainbow colours, kids really get like involved in it. And I don't think I've ever had a client that they always come and say there's no way they're going to sit still, and they absolutely love it. So I do one called gentle release therapy as well. So that's like an energy healing, but it's working on traditional Chinese medicine, meridians.
Ooh.
So that's really good. And that, because that's a fully clothed treatment, that's good for people who they'd be anxious going for a massage. Because it is a bit like, so they can just, you know, it's a fully clothed one, so they can just literally, as soon as they come in, relax. So they're the main treatments that I do. And I'd say most of my clients are Send.
Maybe we'll have to get you to do a workshop on our app.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because I think there's so many things that are available that we don't all know about, like holistic therapy, touch. We talked about like positive touch, especially for somebody who really doesn't like touch, you know, is touch averse. And what was the other thing we spoke about recently about pressure? You know, like I was saying about somebody having a really heavy rucksack, and I was like, oh my God, empty your rucksack. And then Nathan reminded me, and I know this, that sometimes deep pressure or having something that makes you feel grounded, so you know where you are in, like where your body is, if that makes sense, like your proprioception and how it is important, and not everybody knows that. So maybe we can do a workshop.
Yeah, we're definitely going that.
What the workshops I do is the reflexology routine, but on the hand. So it's like a self-care. So it's good for like children with school anxieties, because they can even do it, you know, while they're in school. So yeah, that's quite a popular one as well.
Yeah. We had a lady that did the EFT, you know, the emotional freedom technique. I mean, I've never used it. I'll try it. I can't. I don't know. Yeah. But
I use that on myself.
Yeah, I
was
do it, but I don't really know what I'm doing.
School.
I just tap or pull. But yeah, I think all of this is really interesting, because if it helps your child, who cares what everybody else thinks? If you see a result, or you see somebody that's less anxious, or you see somebody that can, you know, anxiety is a horrible thing. And when you see someone in that really heightened state, if we can teach, you know, techniques that help to calm our nervous system, why not? I think it's brilliant.
Yes,
so, thank you so much,
we look forward to working in.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Take care.